HiSec Buyback offers 90% JITA anywhere in HiSec. Simply go to hisec.evebuyback.com, appraise your items, create a contract, and get paid quickly.
And you're on.
All right, good evening, everyone. This is Talking in Stations for Thursday, November 18th. I am back on air. I'm Rundle Allnighter. Sorry for not being around last week. A little issue with some of the timing with the dev blog, so I apologize for that. We were going to do it Friday, but Matt all jumped in and did a live stream, and rightly so, because there was a lot of stuff. And, we've been dealing with a week now of the reactions to that. But that's not what the show is about tonight. Tonight, we're going to just do a little bit of game news, but then we're going to jump right to our special guest. Tonight, we have CSM 16 member Mike Azariah on to talk nothing about the CSM, I hope, and everything about the Magic School Bus. Well, maybe we'll touch on this.
I may do a little of the CSM.
Yeah, maybe we'll touch a bit on that, especially with what we got going on now. I can't believe I won't ask at least one question about it.
Fair enough. Oh, by the way, Azariah.
Azariah. Yeah, I always get that all mixed up.
Otherwise, people think I'm related to Hank.
Yeah, that's wrong. Azariah. All right, I apologize. I should have figured that out pre-show. But hey, we got on our Canadian connection, and that takes precedence. All right, so let's get to some quick stuff. First, I want to mention, we're a space-loving group of folks, and so back here on Earth. Tonight is an almost total lunar eclipse in the dead of night for everyone in North America, but set some alarms. Australia, I think, gets a pretty good view. South America does as well. So if you're listening and you forgot or you didn't know somehow, go check it out. NASA has a pretty good write-up. So just look for lunar eclipse NASA and you'll find it. So I think maybe Nick's going to probably show that a little bit there as well. For the game news, there is a report of a bug that pause towers, which are your player-owned structures, the really old stuff.
Pause code.
Yeah, the old pause code, written with string and silly putty, I think. It's now on, those things are on lining with 0% shield initially instead of the usual 25% shield. That has the nasty side effect that makes them vulnerable immediately, which makes anchoring a pause tower in hostile space even that's more difficult. Wormholers particularly use these as a beachhead for invasions. Nullsec still uses it as kind of a nuisance point, sometimes even as a staging or a black ops operation point sometimes, things like that. Anyways, if you're having that problem on Tranquility, bug report it, and at the same time, file a stuck petition, and a GM will boost the shields to where it needs to be, because we have confirmed that this thing is happening. So if you're experiencing that, bug it, petition the GM, get that shields up 25%, make your life a little easier.
Operators are standing by.
Operators are standing by, exactly.
I think I heard fairly reliable source I was talking to that the cause of this was they were adjusting the skin color on a Galente ship. And that pause code's woven in everything, man.
I wouldn't doubt it. That sounds funny.
I have been hearing about pause code since CSM 8 when I got in the first time. And they would love to take it out behind the shed and shoot it, but they're afraid that it's got too many hostages, by being connected to everything else. So you kill pause code and all of a sudden all the ships have Hello Kitty skin.
Yeah, that's probably a small percentage of the population who want Hello Kitty skins. I certainly don't. But if you do, hey, encourage them to kill the pause code.
Yeah.
All right. So we got Mike offering some information already. So hey, it's Mike Azariah. Let's find out a little bit more. Mike, maybe there's some people out here who just don't know who you are, don't know how that happens, but let's just assume that no one knows who you are. Let's give us the standard Mike introduction.
Okay, my name's Mike Azariah. I am in-game the running joke that I made with one CSM member was, I think I'm the third most honest person in Eve. And he said, who the hell is number 2? Which I took as a compliment. We both agreed on number 1 without even talking about Kriba being Kriba. But other than that, I am a politician in Eve, which sounds very counter to being an honest player. I run a charity. I've been playing I just rang up 13 years in September. We'll talk more about the bus in a bit. I mainly live in rookie help chat and help the rookies as they're getting into the game in various ways, and fly in HiSec. So although I do love to go on the occasional roam, I haven't done one in way, way too long. I got to hook up with Grey Gal again and go shoot things, because it's been too long since I shot any other player.
Well, I mean, if you show up it might be, that might be a way to do like a little free-for-all, right? A Mike FFA, right? You shoot the people who can't get your name right first. I'm probably at the top of that list. Sorry, I botched that even with the correction. Azariah, I will.
There you go.
There you go. Maybe I get that tattooed somewhere.
Oh, funny thing about the name. Just wanted to explain it. One, my real name is Mike. Azariah was my grandfather's name.
Ah, very cool.
So
Nice
I went with names that I would respond to. If on comm somebody else Mike, I respond. Of course, if someone says Mike check, I say I'm fine. So it's not as smart as it sounded initially.
Yeah.
But my favorite story about the name was I took my wife to Eve Vegas in 2015. And so we're at the party, the big Vegas party, and someone comes running up to my wife and says, "Are you Mrs. Azariah?" And she kind of looks at him and goes, "I guess so." "Oh, your husband's cool. You must be cool too. Can I buy you a drink?" It's all free right now. You're not buying any drinks, But just, she had to get used to the fact that when I had my name changed for being a gamer, she automatically gets her name changed as well.
Yeah. That little bit of space fame stuff can be a little foreign to people who aren't in the game. I have just a similar odd story. I was sitting at a table having lunch with a coworker, and I'm talking, and he is from Mexico, and he gets a little nervous when a bunch of people start chucking glances around the table right behind us. Four kind of, in his mind, burly, bigger dudes keep looking over my way. This is back when I was doing talking in stations. Yeah. And he's like, he kind of whispers, "Hey, like, you got to be a little worried. What's going on here? Like, these guys are gonna, like, I don't know what's going on." And so I turn around. I'm like, "Hey guys, what's going on?" And they're like, "Are you Rundle Allnighter?" And I'm like, "Yes, I am." And he's like, "We listen to your podcast all the time. That's so awesome." And the guy I'm meeting with is like, "Oh my God, you're famous." I'm like, "Yeah, space fame has got its pros and its cons." We couldn't finish our lunch in peace, but hey, those four gentlemen had a fun time chatting with me over at lunch.
So fame, $4 will get you a coffee at Starbucks.
Exactly. There you go. All right. So, okay, I do want to talk. You're on the CSM. Can I get your CSM view on what's been happening in JITA? I don't want to ask anything specific, because the moment I ask something specific, I already know the answer. Oh, I can't get into specifics on that. So I'm not going to do that. But I know that you can talk in general about the goings on in what's, with the protests in JITA, what sparked it, and maybe, give us a little look behind the veil if you can. Can you do that?
I'll see what I can tightrope walk.
Sure.
Let's see. Most of this is in response to the changes in mining that were proposed on Friday last blog post from CCP. And a lot of people had huge reactions. I can tell you, I'm allowed to sometimes say what we say, as long as it doesn't give any information of what they say. So I can tell you for a fact that we told them not to call this the end of scarcity. And literally told them, remove that phrase from all the documentation, from the ads, from the marketing. It's a change to mining. That's fine. More prosperity. That's fine. But do not say end of scarcity, because scarcity is a term that everybody has a different value and meaning to. And so the good odds is you're not going to make everybody happy, and anybody who thinks that you didn't end it the way they want you to end it, you have screwed them over, and rah, 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 let's shoot the pause or let's shoot the monument. And predictably, the CSM was right. We told them not to do this, not make the changes, but not say that the changes were the end of scarcity. And so the shooting of the monument and the complaints, I've been writing and going through the Dreadnought, what's the title of it? From Extraction to Production,
right,
which currently is at 2,047 posts, unless they've trimmed it again. And so I've been doing my best to keep up with that and write down when people make a good point and gather the points that I can. When you're saying, rah, 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 I'm going to quit, or we'll shoot the monument till it blows up, which ain't happening. I hate to say it, but the monument was not as effective a thing as you might wish it to be, because all it does was it got a lot of people online playing the game, which makes them look really good because, hey, we got people playing. And because the goons pinged it, and I know it was not all goons that the monument shot, but because goons made a big issue of pinging it and doing it live and all this, it's easy for others to discount it as a goon protest as opposed to general player protest.
agreed.
And this is more image than it is truth, if you understand what I mean. Like, I know a lot of the people there were from other organizations, but the goons spearheaded it so much that unfortunately they made it theirs, and they have to own that. So it, sometimes the political tap dance is you may object to something, but if you come in under somebody's flag or with the wrong people, all of a sudden you have Trump saying there were very fine people at that protest, and you're going, oh God, read the room, man. So yeah, and even people who are talking on the comments in Twitch, yeah, they were there. I didn't go there because I was driving the bus and doing other stuff. In regards to that, we've already had a meeting this week with CCP and discussed a lot of the mining changes and suggestions and run the numbers. Kenneth Feld can pull numbers out like nobody's business. So when they try to throw a number and say this will change everything, he can immediately say this is how much it's going to change the cost of a dreadnought. This is how much it's going to change the cost of caps. You didn't fix the choke point. The choke point is still this one, and this one. And so he's got a lot of admiration from me because it's really hard to bullshit somebody who's probably better at the numbers than you are or on par with you. It also means that we can, each of us in the CSM are looking at these problems from different viewpoints. Like, I did not even look at the Rorqual because I don't fly Rorquals. I'm a HiSec person, but I was looking at the procurers saying those poor things are getting, losing 500 or 1,000 EHP, which makes things that are commonly ganked even easier to gank. And they're supposed to be the rock that gankers break against. And the others went up a little, but pulling the procurer down hurt. And then they did the same thing. So we're still negotiating and trying to push for better numbers for the miners to actually be able to live, survive what the world is. But to the listeners, if you have suggestions that are not just rah, 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 I'm unsubbing my 15 Rorqual pilots that I have on a multi-box, but actually have things, it would be good if you made this specific change or that specific change. My mail is open, and this is what you voted for me for, or this is what I got elected for anyways, is representing the players. How's that for an answer?
That's a great answer. Yeah, I fully respect that. A couple takeaways. Bit of a messaging / branding issue on both sides, right? CCP was warned, do not brand this fixes as end of scarcity. That because the numbers, the bit that I have not consumed all of it because. I get a little bit like, kind of what you're saying. I get lost in the I'm quitting, or I'm like, whatever. I have a bit of faith as an engineer in the developers Sometimes it's shaken. Sometimes they get it wrong. They're people, but I totally understand the messaging, the branding. That was probably point on, and likely on the other side, the protest side, branded wrong, right? Messaged wrong, maybe to get the right impact. So mistakes were made. We'll see where we end up. That's one of my takeaways.
I'm not discounting either side for what they were doing, just how they announced it. Like I said, it was a valid protest. Cool. Badly labeled. It was, the changes were nice, but they were not the end of scarcity. And, and everyone's saying you're trying a bait and switch because you increase the volume of rocks in the field by 100%, and then you have 100% wastage. But I'm reading the comments from the people who actually have tried it. I asked the guy who's doing the dev who's mostly in charge of this, was what I would like to see is just make me a average skilled miner character and give me a before and after of 1 hour of mining and tell me, do I come home with more ore or less ore? I don't care about the wastage. I'm just saying, if I go out in a venture, in a procurer, in a hulk, a skiff, a rorqual, and spend an hour, because it's not a matter of, how much was there and how much I got. It's how much can I get per hour and will I be able to sell it? Do you understand what I mean? Like,
I totally get that.
I prefer empirical evidence over theory crafting.
Yeah. I mean, because the theory numbers are always going to give you maximums and everything's perfect and nothing's ever perfect. Even your playtime, your distractions, your whoops, I made a mistake, I didn't click something, whatever, right?
Yeah,
so and all that stuff that happens.
Whether you have to click a new rock every 30 seconds or whether
all that stuff, right?
Set it and forget it, go have a shower and come back and you're still mining the same rock.
Yeah. So all right, go ahead.
I was going to say, so let's do the bus as well.
yeah, we'll get to the bus. One quick thing I want to make a comment about, the trusting CCP, right? And you've played long enough. I've played this game almost 20 years. And when I say trust CCP, I'm like, I don't trust them to be perfect. I trust them in that I respect that they're individuals who enjoy their jobs. I trust that they are working there because they want to. I trust that they love this game. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been around for 20 years. I trust that they have passion for what they do. And I trust that if they get something wrong, they will fix it if it's truly wrong. My constant downfall with CCP is communication, and it's unfortunately a double-edged sword. I would love to see the vision, and I think that's where we're kind of just skirting the issue. All these changes, like you were saying, like, fine, make the changes to the Oracle, make it to the Porpoise, make it to the Orca, whatever. But what's the vision? Where are you guys really going with all this? I don't see that. And the double-edged sword is that the moment you tell everyone, then they get mad, and they get mad at you for telling them. It's almost like, all right, I'm just going to roll this shit out, and you're going to just deal with it player base. And I also trust that the players adapt everything. In 20 years, there is not another game that I've played that can still hold interest and change at the level that it needs to change to keep people excited for 20 years. Every game changes. Every game is completely different. If you tell me the game is even remotely like it was 20 years ago, I'll say you didn't play 20 years ago.
Yeah, there was a cartoon that I saw recently, and it's funny because it overlaps to another thing I want to say. There was a developer-producer of World of Warhammer. I don't know if you ever played that game. And it lasted a very short amount of time. And he said the worst thing is whenever we say what we're thinking about, immediately there's a good percentage of the population who will demand that it is released immediately. And if it isn't, they'll complain. And if it is, it's that's not what we thought you meant. And they'll complain anyway.
Exactly.
For a dev, talking to the players is a high-risk operation and backfires so often. And at the time he was doing that, I was still heavy, and I still am heavy in Eve. And I'm going, our devs talk to the players, and either they've built up the immunity to being yelled at, or they've just learned how to change it. But as the staffing changes, I think the new ones, a lot of it could almost be cultural. Just Icelandic people don't say sorry the same way that, say, Canadians do.
Yeah, no, exactly.
The other cartoon, just a second, and I wish I could send you the link, but the cartoon of the two things that Warhammer players hate is change and the way things are now.
I've seen that one before. Yeah, that's a classic one. Yeah.
So I feel that could easily, you could cross out Warhammer and write Eve players.
For sure.
Still have, we hate how it is now and we don't like how you're changing it either.
Yeah.
And
So speaking of,
right, that
yeah.
people keep talking about, it should go back the way it was. I don't think they remember the way it was.
Yeah, it's just you just haven't played long enough to understand the way it was before.
So go ahead, next question.
No, I was just going to say, speaking of sorry, I'm going to say sorry. I'm going to cut you off. Sorry, we're not going to expand and talk endlessly about this because I'm sorry that you have some personal issues you may have to take care of tonight, and I don't want this to get cut short because I think the next part is also equally as important as a GITA protest and these potential changes, which of course GITA protests might make it. I'm curious how those protests and the tie-dye and GITA and because buying ships and stuff for Magic School Bus. I mean that's the whole point. So you might have had a little bit of a personal impact over the last week doing this. So let's start with tell everyone what the Operation Magic School Bus is, what you're currently doing with your fundraiser, and we can talk about impact and what you're doing next with it.
Okay. 7 years ago, come 2 weeks from now, so end of November, 7 years ago, I was on a podcast called Podside. Yep. And we were promoting the how new players are treated, where everyone says, don't undock what you can't afford to lose, and yet we give players one ship. And so a new player literally is given this dichotomy of undock and do things, but don't undock if you can't afford to lose it. And they can't afford to lose anything because they got nothing. And I said, somebody ought to go out and just lend a hand, buy, give the newbies an extra ship or show them how to fit. Just the tutorial is not cutting it. And to tell the truth, all the way through this game, the tutorial has always not cut it to be as welcoming as it could be. I don't know if I could do better. I know I probably couldn't, but it doesn't get them to where they need to be to start. So I said, I think Cypher was the one I said, well, why don't you do it? And I went, okay. And I started Operation Magic School Bus. I called it that because the Magic School Bus is a kids show in North America that works by the process of the kids learn by doing. They don't do a lesson on the digestive system. They fly right inside of somebody and see it from the inside. They don't learn about the stars. They get in the Magic School Bus and all of a sudden they're orbiting Venus. And I picked that planet, not one of the others, because I want to keep this PG-13.
Fair enough.
So the concept for Operation Magic School Bus is we want the new players to learn by doing and to see a fitted ship, to see a ship that can go out and actually survive it and not be plinking at, 30 DPS, which is what a Corvette can do sometimes. So I said, fine, I'm going to do it, but I'm not that rich. I can't afford to give a ton of stuff away. And one of the listeners to Podside sent me ISK and said, here, get started. And so I've been doing this, but I hate fundraising. I honestly do dislike this. Even as a teacher, I dislike having to shake the UNICEF box at kids and that sort of thing.
All right.
So what I did was I said, I will fundraise 1 month a year, November, and it will tell me how much I can give away. I do extra giveaways over Christmas, over the holiday season, the December holiday season. So I like to know how my budget's doing. I do the fundraising, and I once was asked by Minxie, I think, how long will I do the bus? And I said, till I run out of assets. So if you donate, you're chaining me to this Flying Dutchman of a project, and if you don't, you're helping free me. So it's a good thing either way.
It's a win-win either way, right?
The bus flies to career system.
Right, that's what I was going to say. Where do you go?
Yeah, I fly to every career system in the game. There's 12 of them. And I just sound off in local, say, speak up, dock up, be under 30 days, I will give you a ship. If you're between 0 and 7 days, I'll give you a fitted frigate. Between 7 and about 20, it's a destroyer, and between 20 and 30, I actually have fitted cruisers. So Omens, Ruptures, Vexer, and Caracal for the cruisers. If you click my name in-game, you can actually go to the bottom of my bio, and there's 2 channel links there that actually show some of the common fittings that I give. I fit some of them for ganking, literally. Like if I'm in Minmatar space, I give a Thrasher that's all DPS and hardly any protection. Some of them have tackle attached. Some of them are very definitely PvE oriented. I'm not telling the players how to fly. I'm just giving them a sample of a ship that is cohesive. You know, if it's supposed to be a shield tank, then damn it, I put shield repairers on and don't dual tank the thing. The most complex ship I give, as far as I'm concerned, is the Slasher. I made that a dual prop because, you know, you use the MWD to get close and then the AB to orbit if you're doing PvP, and it is a PvP fit ship, but it's made to get in fast and then survive at point blank. So these ships, I go around about once a day or twice a day. I'll just do a set of, like today I did Minmatar. So I did the 3 Minmatar systems, sounded off. If you're over 30 days and you speak up, I carry a few BPCs around just to give them so you don't feel left out of the free stuff, but you don't get a ship if you're older than I am in the game. If you want to donate, then it's simple. You contract it to me or send me ISK. I take things, I take ISK. I'm the beggar. I am not allowed to choose and say, you will send me this much ISK or you are a loser. I will take 2 ISK if that's all you can afford. I actually turn down new players who want to donate because it kind of seems counterproductive. And I literally did that twice today where new players were trying to pay me for the ships I'm giving them. And I said, what part of free don't you get? And one of them insisted on sending me ISK. I sent it back. Occasionally I'll send it back plus 1 ISK just to really drive them crazy. But I've never doubled ISK. I don't plan on doing that because someone will start taking advantage. There are some players who follow me system to system to get as many things as they can from me. There's ones who'll speak up, older players that speak up every time I show up, and I've probably given them a couple of hundred BPCs by now, but I don't complain because that's part of what this is helping folks out, getting them going.
Yeah, because that's what you kind of signed up for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Excellent program. I know that somewhere in the past I've donated to you. I've seen you in space. I know I've talked about this a few times. I think it's a fantastic program. I am horrified, saddened, and completely upset that you gave Cypher any modicum of credit towards this because he's Cypher and we have a special relationship. And I think it's all on you. So
thank you. I do give when somebody shoves me into the thing. I remember whose hand was at the back, going, "Oof, you first."
Yeah, well, Cypher's good at that part for sure. So one other thing, about the Magic School Bus thing, by the way. So you don't. By the way, people, as what I want to mention is he's not going to just take donations in November. I want to make he'll take donations all year round. So if you are one of those players who and you're listening to this in 3 months, you're like, oh yeah, Mike Azariah gave me a ship. My God, I even got it right. Mike Azariah gave me a ship, and now I'm on to my road of prosperity, and it's June next year or something, and give him some money back, right? Pay it forward, sort of thing, right? If you got a lot of money and you're like, I don't know what to do with my money, or you're about to quit because you don't like what happened to Oracle, give it to Mike, and then he'll pay it forward in the game or something, right?
Yeah, that's close.
Yeah, for sure, right? It doesn't just have to be in his fundraiser month, right?
It's just this is the only month I ask.
That's right.
And like I said, it's mainly because I hate asking. Either people want to donate or they don't, but this is the month I ask.
Excellent.
And also, if I chatted with somebody the other day who's just starting out in Industry Corp, and they said, we're not making much yet. How can we help? And I said, if you make stuff, if you want, I'll put in an order and you sell it to me at GITA fair value. I buy things and fit ships in groups of 30 and 60. So this is not one ship. When I'm flying the Magic School Bus, by the way, the bus is a bowhead.
I was going to ask, yeah. You are transferring the stuff around in a bowhead. So that was a big change for you, right? That ship.
Yeah. Before that, I was using an Orca.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I remember that.
You can't move a lot in an Orca, but I did what I could. But once the bowhead came in and I could train into it, made life fairly easy. I can move 8 battle cruisers, about 60, 70 as a separate load, 60 or 70 frigates all fitted out. So I usually go to the trade hub, buy all the stuff that I can and fit it out. But believe it or not, I actually run out, especially in Rennes is getting very dry. It's just the loss of Niarja actually has affected trade runs enough that some of the trade hubs are showing their pain. So
Wow.
Dixie is a little hurt. Amar and Jeet are still really strong, but I feel the pain of it. Valamir, yes, there's a beautiful kill mail for me on Zkill that if you scroll, I think it was over 200 BPCs were on my ship at the time. I got caught, somebody was using a smart bomb in HiSec at the choke point.
Wow, that's so far. That wasn't in your bowhead though, was it?
No, bowhead is, it would be interesting. I'm not inviting you to try it. But,
no, I would, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll jump on that bus to say don't shoot the bus. Like I would think I would plead and ask nicely. If you're a ganker and you're listening to this, you're getting any aspirations of I'm going to go shoot Mike in his Magic School bus bowhead, then don't be that dick. Don't be that guy.
See, the time I lost it, I don't think it was targeted. It's just I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, if you know what I mean. But sorry, one side joke, because it always makes me giggle. I once was flying and had to get called away from the computer, and I did something I tell everybody not to do. I turned on autopilot. And can you come here for a minute? Became 15, 20 minutes. You know how it is with family. And I come back, and I'd gone through Udama.
Oh, no.
Or actually, at the time, it was Niarja, but, the gank capital. And I'd run my ship on autopilot through there. And what made me laugh was when I got back, there were 2 sets of mail from ganking squads, like the big famous ones, going, dude, please don't do that. We love what you're doing, but don't tempt us, okay?
Yeah. You are poking the bear repeatedly here.
And it was just, I thought it was really nice that even the people who, for their main gameplay, gank, still recognized the bus and said, yeah, we're not going to shoot you this time, but don't do this, please. And I wrote them back and said it was one of those family things. I was called away. I should have docked. And I apologized for even teasing them. And so I have a good relationship with a lot of the ganking people. So it would be, a private individual, but a private individual would have to bring a hell of a lot of firepower because bowheads are tanky.
Yeah, they're super tanky. Especially if you fit it right. You can 200,000 HP.
I'm over 400.
Right? Or is it over 400? Yeah, I'd say a big number. I haven't looked at mine lately. I got one as well. So, it's a big number if you fit it right.
Ashtrothy helped me out. He sent me a couple of Abyssal Space modded things to help push the tank even a little bit more.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think I don't have mine with the officer mods or Abyssal Space stuff. I think I just, Tech 2 version. So maybe that's the one I'm thinking is mid 200s or almost 300 or something like that, I think. So
it's a tanky thing. And
sure is.
The nicest thing I get is when I'm talking to players or even the chat on the side, when I get at someone who's been around for 4 years and says they still remember their bus ship or they still have the Magic Coercer or the Magic Vexor or whatever they got from me. Because that tells me that what I was doing worked in this case. It kept somebody who might have been one of those who might have been churned out, stayed. Yeah. And it stayed with a favorable memory of their early part in the game rather than just I got ganked, I got killed, and I just kept at it. This is more like I met a nice guy, and he's what convinced me to keep in the game.
Yep, for sure. And I have to say, how very Canadian of you to apologize to the people who sent you a message that they weren't going to gank you. It's a total Canadian. I'm sorry I teased you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay, so everyone listening now, listening any point in the future, if you just click on this in some, 10 years from now, I'm sure we'll also be playing. Donate to Operation Magic School Bus, find Mike Azariah, click on his name, send him some ISK, send him a ship or something.
I'm not looking forward to the end of November because then I have to start writing all the thank you notes. I have a rule against doing cut and paste for thank you notes.
Oh, yes.
And so if a lot of people listen to this and send donations, then I'm going to be all of December as I'm flying around. Thank you for the stuff. It was very nice.
Yeah.
And sure, and just experience on a theme, but it's kind of like your upbringing. Did you write a thank you note to grandma?
So very Canadian. I feel like I'm talking to my mother right now too. She is the queen of cards too.
Yeah.
You got to write a card to this person and this person, and this person. Like a little thank you card. Just drop a note. They mentioned you in a conversation. You should drop a little note to them to say thank you for talking to you about you to me. Like really.
I get that from my mom. My aunt.
My mom too.
Into a elderly home in Ontario, and I have to send her a note occasionally because she can't figure out that face book, InstaFace. There we go, Meta.
Exactly. Well, so you're going to have a lot of writing to do. So let's talk briefly about writing. You have been writing. Another part about you is you have been writing for a long time. You have your own little blog, A Mission Year in Eve, mikeazaria.wordpress.com. You scroll back, all the way back to 2009 when you started, right? And you've been just writing and writing and writing. So if you're listening and you're like, okay, this Mike guy can't be as nice as he sounds, but she really is, guys. And you want to read some really good just things about Eve, things about Mike, things about the game. You want to go a little walk in the past. Like I said, it goes back, 13 years now, right? Almost 12, 13 years.
Yeah, it does. It's scary how long. I haven't been writing as much lately, and I want to get back into it, but it's kind of like when it hits, I'll get into a bit of just writing a ton. So, but I want to write more. I enjoy that. It's a good outlet for me to do that sort of thing. But fair warning, I write a lot of my stuff in character, and then at the bottom I'll have what's called lessons, which translates the message I was trying to get through in the storyline that I was doing. Because quite often there is kind of a hidden moral of the story, if you know what I mean. But
how very teacherish of you, Mike.
Yeah. Well, I am a retired teacher. I also have a YouTube channel where I do lessons of how to do various newbie things, because you only want to explain how to do exploration 3 of 5 and how to use probes and scan something down and do the hacking. If you've ever tried to type that out to a new player, it takes about half an hour. Whereas recording the video, I could do that once. I likened talking somebody through probing and hacking the equivalent of teaching knitting on the radio. So it's tough.
Yeah, I linked your YouTube into the channel as well.
Yeah, there's right here. Scroll back up. There was something that ties to what you were saying before. FanFest.
Okay.
They're talking about FanFest coming back.
Right.
I hope the world gets to the point where we can all fly and be together, or some of us can fly and be together come next spring, because that used to be the time when you saw the best visions for the game. It's when the devs would talk about what they would like to see, and with a chance to sit and talk to the devs, buy them a beer, get them drunk. But overall, Eve Vegas, FanFest, when they came and brought the full team and talked to the players, that's when you got the big releases of what we're dreaming of for next year.
Visions.
The vision, the roadmap, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And over the years, that was the time. Once a year you get a news brief or something to be hopeful for. And I'm really hoping that we get back to that time that we can have hope for the game, and you guys can see stuff that I may see occasionally, but it's not like I know all the secrets. I just know some of the stuff behind the curtain.
Right. Well, I've rarely ever made a request of a CSM member, oddly enough, even though I'm full of hot air and crazy ideas. I'm going to make one now. And it is around this topic. Could you urge CCP and maybe rally your fellow CSM members once you guys get over this latest hurdle, but maybe use it as an impetus or a reason to, hey guys, if you could show a little more of your vision, if you could give us a little more runway in what you're doing and a little more information about why you're making these changes, that will help the player base. I firmly believe this because I know back in the day, I know that we got a lot of information. You're touching on when we did, and we used to get more. They got burned, they got hammered. I understand the toxic nature of the way things are going over the last 5 to 10 years. But other games are still doing it. Other games are finding a way. Other games are also getting burnt. But if they could try to start swinging the pendulum back a little bit, I would be grateful. I think the player base would be grateful. Could be grateful. I would ask anyone listening to urge your fellow, capsuleers to lay off the douchebag hattery of what you want to say or how you're going to react to these things. Just let them do their job. But if they start giving us some more information, just say thank you and take it and move on and write a thought out, reasonable response to it if you feel some way about it. But all this other crass hattery and douchebaggery is no fun. But anyways, Mike, that would be my request if you could try to urge them.
I have over the years, like I said, this is my 5th term as a CSM.
Yes.
So I actually joked with them that I'm practically the institutional memory itself of the CSM and what it was once and what it is and what it will be. So when they say, we've never thought of that, bullshit, we asked for it in 2000 and I can call them on this and say, or this is how it used to be. Why did we change from it?
I was there and we went uphill both ways to give you the message.
Yeah. But we have asked I actually begged them this year to even have a virtual if they didn't have a fan fest, have a virtual one where they just did a couple of, meet the devs, talk to a few of them,
right.
Do a couple of AMAs, anything to get the contact back and to realize that the one thing that the internet does is isolate you from the other person. So it's easy to yell at CCP Fozzie. That's just a set of letters. It's a lot tougher if you sit down and talk to these people and find out, they have a job, they're doing their best. It is in their best interest for the company to succeed. I don't think any of them work for Riot or are secretly trying to, be spies and run the game into the ground.
No.
So, although that is the weirdest bit of irony, way back in, 2013, Riot raided CCP. They headhunted and stole a bunch of devs.
That's true.
I always found it funny that a company called Riot was taking people from a company called Crowd Control Productions.
Yeah, a little irony there for sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
But,
yeah, so I say that all the time, right? I mean, that's why that go back to my comments about trusting at least a bit in CCP and the people is like, look, most of those people have a job, they enjoy what they do. There's not a lot of opportunities in the gaming world to work for companies like that like build this kind of game. If you're into this, if you're living in Iceland or over in Europe, there's even less opportunities to have a job like this. So when you get it,
you're steal people all the way from North America. I mean,
right.
Look, Swift was the most recent transfer over, moved from Florida to Iceland.
Right. And it's not in anyone's interest to just put out crap. It's just not. And so every time I look at a patch note or I look at news or I look at stuff, the first thing I do is I just kind of tap into this. All right, they're doing their best. Please give me a little bit of vision, and I understand you have a job to do, and I respect and just kind of tie into that. Look, they're passionate as well, but they have also some additional responsibilities to keep this game going as long as possible, to make money for their employer so that they can make money for themselves. They have some other things that we don't. And that's usually where people get all messed up, like, you're just doing it for the damn money. You don't give a shit about me. A little bit of truth, yeah. But, if they don't do it for the money, they're out of a job. And if they don't do a good job of it, they're out of the money and out of a job, right? So you got to realize they're trying to walk in the middle a little bit. And
there's another thing that people ignore, and I'm going to try, this is going to be tightrope walking. Sometimes, even the players, we have our nose so close to the bark that we can see one tree, but we don't see the forest. And it's very hard to take a huge step back so you're looking at the whole ecosystem.
Right.
It's a running joke that Eve is so complex it actually has on-staff economists, or had Dr. Ao back in the day. I actually think we should hire a biology major who specializes in ecosystems.
That would be interesting.
To study the game as, predator, prey, and if you do this to the prey, the miners, what's going to happen and what's going to be the end result to the predators, the hunters, the whalers, that sort of thing. And I think sometimes stepping back, they can data mine a lot more information than any of us have. And I have seen them tell the CSM a specific fact, and the entire set of nullsec gods who know everything went, holy shit, and just were stunned by a simple one-sentence fact that really altered how they were seeing things, because they had been too close to the trees, not far enough back to see the forest.
Right.
And so that kind of information, when you see the reaction of the players who are supposed to know everything, like I will readily claim I know hardly anything about Eve, but, just bits and pieces. But I don't claim to be a god's gift to the game. I'm just very helpful to new players.
Right.
So when you're yelling at them, please take a moment to think, am I yelling because they're trimming the branches off of my tree, or they're burning the entire forest down?
Odds are it's just the tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. You may not be a god among, but you certainly are a saint, Mike. That's what I would say. So you're up there.
There's a running joke in Rookie Help chat that occasionally I go somebody asking, are you famous? And I tell them, I prefer the term known.
Yeah.
Like people in the game, especially older players, know who I am. Even Mittens has made reference to me once or twice. But, I'm not a competitor. I'm not a huge threat to them, but a lot of people have bumped into me at one point or another over the years that I've been very active. So I'm a known player.
That's right. I would say you're, very well known, right? And still playing and doing a fantastic thing with the Magic School Bus. So
yeah, but I hate to cut it short.
Yeah.
We have to head out to get the emergency freezer to replace the freezer that died with all the meat in it.
Yeah, don't lose that. Everyone, listening, I want to say thank you on behalf of them to you, Mike. Appreciate it. I'll let you drop out. I'll wrap up the show on your behalf. Do you have any final words that you want to say?
Well, I'd do a shout out to Cypher, but that would drive you crazy. So, if you do
it,
like I said, I am not picky about what you donate. Preferably, if you give me things in the trade hubs, makes life easier for me, so I don't have to spend 2 days making shuttle trips to far off places just to grab a stack of BPCs and 3 civilian Gatling guns. If it's ISK, I am not going to tell you whether to donate or how much, because that's, when you're asking, it's like the guy at the corner with the Salvation Army and the Christmas bucket. I've never seen that guy for once say, "You cheap bastard, come on, drop a 5."
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Yep.
If it's a nickel, that's what the person could afford, and hey, they gave you the nickel. Enough of them, and you got $1.
Yep,
so,
exactly.
Thank you for the support for the people who kept the bus going for 7 years, and hopefully, if I keep alive, the bus will keep going until I run out of ISK. So that's where it's at.
Well, excellent.
Thanks a lot for letting me be on, and I will chat with you another time.
Yeah, thank you very much for coming on. And Cypher, as I've said to you in the past, of all the people in the game I hate, I like you the most.
Talk to you later.
All right, guys. Thanks, Mike.
Bye.
All right. So we're just falling here into the tail end of the show. That was a really fun conversation with Mike. I hope everyone listening now and down the road on YouTube enjoy that conversation and donate to the Operation Magic School Bus. Please do so. So let's just kind of do a couple little wrap up items. I mentioned at the top of the show that there's a almost total lunar eclipse tonight. Just another reminder of that. Get out in the middle of the night if you're in North America. Binoculars will be fine. Telescopes, there's lots of stuff. There's a NASA website, easy, get all the information, try some pictures, do something, I don't know, whatever, at the middle of the night, set an alarm. It'll be worth it, I hope, assuming you can see it. There's obviously a few storms where potential could screw that up. I also want to give a little personal shout out to my friend Jade Cougar. He is going strong again with his Lost in Eve podcast, which is lostinaevepodcast.podbean.com. He's up to episode 11, going strong. He's a really good listen, so I want to give him a little promotion there and say thank you for him coming back and doing his stuff. So with that, I will say thank you very much, everyone, for spending time with us tonight on Talking in Stations, and that's it for the show. Enjoy, everyone.